The Converted Man here. Christians, try to see it from the outside looking in. Try to see it from the other side. Asking a Christian, or all Christians, to see their beliefs, see their religion from the outside looking in. Try to put yourself in the outsider's shoes. Explaining everything to somebody that has never heard of God, never heard of Jesus, never heard of the Bible. The amount of time and energy that you would need to go into to do that would be one heck of an uphill battle. I want very much that Christians and other religions, but I'm going to focus on Christians right now, would look at their beliefs from an outsider's perspective for once. I think that could be a good thing. Now, on my blog, I wrote this tiny dot. And here on this little map, right here, there's the Sea of Galilee. Somewhere there, supposedly, Jesus roamed the earth, walked around, visited areas. Right there, that tiny dot of land. And then when you zoom back, and then it's there. It's this tiny, tiny dot on the world stage. And just to think about that for a few moments, to really actually consider that, the rest of the world at the time that Jesus was walking around doing whatever, they didn't know. Nobody else knew. Nobody knew here. Nobody knew there. Nobody knew what was going on. That's how your God supposedly revealed itself to the world, by visiting one small piece of land for a very limited amount of time. If you go through the Old Testament, the amount of people that God reveals directly to is 13. Now, I think we should cut out 2 of those because I don't count Adam and Eve because they couldn't have existed. So that's a problem. So you're going to explain to somebody Christianity, they've never heard of anything. Where are you going to start? Are you going to start with Genesis? All right, now you have to explain how that's not really actual story because it couldn't be because of evolution, and we know there wasn't a worldwide flood. It's impossible to do that. It's just not feasible. You're going to explain all of that. Or are you going to start, well, no, you should start at God. What's God? What is it? Well, it's the thing that created all the universe. Well, okay, what do you mean by that? How do you know that? How can something create all the universe? Well, it has a lot of power. All right. Where is it? Point me to it. Oh, I can't show you. It's invisible. Well, it's not invisible. It's just, you can't see it. Oh, you can't hear it, touch it, feel it, taste it. It's there, though. Trust me. Oh, and by the way, it loves you. But I'm getting ahead of myself because I still have an uphill battle. I have to also explain the Bible, which is going to take some doing because I have to explain, the message Genesis. Maybe I'll just skip that. They're going to have questions like, well, first, before you start talking to me about this book, who wrote it? Well, we don't know. It's anonymous authors throughout. Okay. Where was it found? Where was this writing found? Because maybe they think the Bible is, something that was found all at once. No, it was found in fragments all over the place, different places. Where? Christians don't know the answer to that question. They'd have to look it up. They don't know just offhand. the answer to that question. So that's the thing. So when, where, when, who found it? Don't know. No idea. Then you're going to have to explain that, well, this is considered historical fact. By who? It's so much to have to explain to an outsider. And I'm not saying that there are no answers. There are. You could try to give these answers, but the thing is, it's such an uphill, Herculean task. And for the outsider, they just are going to be completely mystified by it, completely perplexed, completely off-put by all this, and say, why in the world would it be so convoluted? Why couldn't it just send Jesus to me now? Well, I mean, you're talking about hiddenness, divine hiddenness. Well, God, if it revealed itself, then you would know that God existed, and that would take away your free will. But you just said Jesus did that. Jesus revealed itself to people, so their free will's gone. So what's the difference now? Well, it already did it once. It's not going to do it again. Why? Why not? Well, you're asking God to do something, and you're forcing God to do something. You're demanding that God do this thing. God doesn't have to do that. It doesn't have to prove itself to you. Well, yeah, it kind of does, doesn't it? If you want to say that it exists, and trying to get a single Christian to do this online, I had done this, and quickly the conversation derailed rather quickly. He wrote way too much for me to really respond to. I kept inviting him to come on to talk to me. He didn't want to do that. And, said things like, oh, you're a typical new atheist, whatever the hell that means. I don't know what that is. It's like, I'm nothing new about the atheists. We've been around. Nothing new about the arguments. It's really apologetics hasn't changed. So maybe the arguments have changed. I don't know. But we're still pointing out the problems that you guys have, just as we've always done, so to speak. But it's like supposed to be an insult to be like, oh, you're a new atheist. Like, whatever. I don't care whatever you want to label me as. Doesn't change that you don't have any evidence. Oh, well, you're getting the definition of faith wrong. The faith in the Bible, that version. Oh, that version that's basically the same as the version of faith that I'm already using, right? And why would I use that one? I'm 53. Does that make me an old atheist? Maybe. I don't know. I guess it depends on how long you've been an atheist. I don't know. Maybe that's how we count it. I don't really know. But the thing is, it's really hard to do that. It's really hard to step outside your belief system and be the outsider looking in. But I wanted to pose it as a challenge. I had talked about that pastor that role played as an atheist, and I said, there's something to that. If Christians were to do that, role play as not an atheist, but just somebody that's never heard of Christianity, and talk to other Christians, they'd see a little bit of what it's like to be an outsider. Now, yeah, you can say, well, but just because the Christians can't explain everything to you, that doesn't mean anything. No, that's not the point. The point is to see what it's like to be an outsider looking in, so that you have an understanding that you don't have now. Maybe you can have an abstract understanding, but that's different from maybe a sort of personal understanding, if you will, which is, funny enough, the sort of argument they'll make is say, well, you can abstractly understand God, but if you haven't experienced God, then you don't know it. It's like, well, okay, fair enough, but I'm asking you to do something that you actually can do. You can actually go into a chat room or log on to a forum or, make another YouTube channel and engage in this way and see what it's like. It's very unique position that somebody that's never believed has versus somebody that did believe then doesn't believe. Now, I've heard many apologists say, "Oh, you used to be an atheist," and I don't believe them. I've heard this so many times. I just don't believe them. It's just like the sort of atheist that they're talking about. It's like, I don't think that. Yeah, no, because it doesn't really fit. Like, maybe you didn't believe in God, but it sounds like you were willing to, suspend some critical thinking to stuff or whatever. I don't know. It just doesn't, I don't know. Maybe it's because they've gone on several airplanes where they encounter, just the right person to talk to that I don't believe them. That's the other guy that I'm looking at, right? Anyway, so will they do it? I don't know. Probably not. As a skeptic or an atheist or agnostic, now we're already the outsiders looking in. So I like to challenge us. I like to do that. And I'm trying to think, well, how do we do that? Can we role play as the believer and see what it's like trying to convince people of our belief? I suppose we could. If you don't know what that's like, that there might be something to it. It might be worthwhile if you don't, really know what that's like, and to kind of get a better handle on the emotional element of it, which is, opposite of what I do. Usually I talk about logic, right? So, well, I don't know if emotion is opposite of logic. It's just different. So I don't know if that's really a challenge that you would partake in per se, but it's something worth thinking about, perhaps. Okay, so that's it. That's my little blurb for now, and I'll see you guys soon. Bye-bye. I don't know why I ended that way. Whatever.